Hello, my friends. We are back with another episode of your best year ever. In 2020, we need to have our best year ever, and we still can, even with everything that's happening. Today, we're talking about having the dance of your life, having joy in your life, no matter what's going on around you, letting joy emanate from you, increasing the vibration. All of these things are new things to me, but if they mean something to you, I'd love for you to drop a comment are you an empath? Yes or no? Do you know if you're an empath? Yes or no? I'm Judy Best with eXp Realty. My brokerage is located at 10515 West Markham, Suite H9 in Little Rock, Arkansas. And my guest today is Michelle Howe. Say hi, Michelle.
Hello, everyone.
Michelle has the group. She's the founder and president of Empath Evolution. And she's all about increasing your healing energies and becoming whole inside and out. Was that accurate, Michelle?
Very.
Can you tell my friends more about you and your empath evolution?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Empath Evolution is my baby. I'm the founder and president. I'm also a healer, a speaker. My passion is to share this information with other heart-centered people in the world. I didn't know till I was 40 years old that I had always been an empath. I discovered the word, I read the 30 traits, and I'm like, oh my God, this explains my life. And I've had a great life. Don't get me wrong. I've had a wonderful life, but there was always something. There was always something that would snag me. There was always something that I needed to go spend time alone. There was always something I would wake up with anxiety. There was always something. But of course, my will to feel good was much stronger than all the somethings. Yet it was, I would put my kids in front of the TV at some point to rest because I needed a rest, not because they needed a rest. We need some time out here. So, everybody finds and discovers this along the way. Typically, if you're an empath, the number one trait is that people tell you their stories. People and even perfect strangers will tell you their stories. And pray tell, why would they tell you their story, right? My husband would always say, there's something wrong with you. Why are all these people telling you this stuff? And I'm like, well, it's okay. It's not a big deal. But it wasn't.
That happens with me too.
Yes. Well, when you said to me, I don't know, I'm like, well, I can tell you are because I can feel you. So if you're like, I recognize empaths immediately because they have a lighter, brighter way about them in the world.
Oh, okay.
That's how you recognize them. But the hard part is they care. And if they're surrounded by toxic or heaviness, it will take them down. Like it will be too much until they step back and away. And if they have a passion for helping, they don't like to see suffering happen. They will work tirelessly and absorb all of that. And
that makes me feel exhausted just hearing that.
Well, they can because they don't like to see anybody in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Being in pain, being near someone in pain is too hard for them to be there. So for the person who is the empath, it's learning what this is and then learning to navigate it a little bit differently. And there's a huge, huge strength upside to what this is because you have that, you embody that beautiful energy, you can uplift other people around you and you're navigating it without going down. You're helping them without taking on what's not yours. Okay. It's almost like, pulling in your strengths. Right. And because we don't think in these terms and we haven't been instructed in these terms, this is relatively new. There are key things that an empath can do to help herself that other people will think is nothing. But for us, it's like everything. So those are our tools. So there's a huge upside, huge.
Well, that's cool. Now, let's talk about the tips. What are our tips about today, Michelle? What are the tips you brought?
Okay, so I was thinking in terms of people going through this pandemic, people going through ups and downs in their lives, whatever that might be. You know what I mean? It's not equal, you know, what you show the world versus what you're living on the back end. So life is like up and down, right? Every day is a different day. Technically, you might feel, you know, really great physically, mentally, and emotionally one day, and then the next day you wake up and you're like, I have no idea what the heck just hit me. Why?
Right.
I feel okay, but I don't feel great, all that other stuff. So
We're having those days, yes.
absolutely, they're going to come your way, and it's inevitable that the outside is going to in some way impact you until you become more aware of who you are inside. So to me, like, number one tip is you pay attention to the inside. Stop looking so much at the outside and bringing it in. You come from the inside and you create that beautiful wealth of who you are inside. So for me, the top thing is the priority is feeling. Number one tool, stick with feeling. Don't disregard it. Don't run over it. You know, if you don't like something, that how it feels, don't ignore it. Don't avoid it, because things tend to like mount up and build up. And so if you said, you know, something's really kind of off today with me, well, let me just kind of sit with this. And slowly but surely that will dissipate if you don't feed it. So if you don't feed the negative or ignore the negative, you can do your self-care. People say self-care. It's a great catchword, right?
Right.
But you're going in to do the care. You're not focusing on the outside stuff. You're staying in to do that. And there's a certain, so tip number 2, there's a certain 3. Tip number 2 is meditation, movement, and music. 3 M's, okay? My husband and I are Matt and Michelle, right? But now I'm talking to you about the 3 M's, meditation, movement, music. There's nothing better than giving your mind a break. It is way too much to expect any computer system to operate 24/7 without, you know, turning it off, giving it. And mind you, it's not easy to turn off our mind. So
yes.
So when something enamors us or captures us or allows us to just kind of sit in what seems like nothing, but it's everything, it's just a beautiful energy. So so I look at us as multidimensional. Like, we have an aura around us, we have vibes around us. You know, when we walk in the room, we don't just walk in the room. People can feel us walk in the room. Right. So meditation is a magnificent tool that you cultivate. It's not, you do it because you begin to love it. It allows you to just kind of free up and release. Movement, holy geez. Movement is great. I just had my husband buy me a little jumpy trampoline, like a single person. He goes, what do you want that for? I'm like, I want that. I might have not thought that, you know, we had this before, we gave it away. I'm like, yes, but I know the value of it now because I need my body to move. As it stands, I have a few issues with my ankles. I'm like, no, if I jump, I'm just having fun and I'm moving, right? And then don't underestimate music. Music can take you where you want to be, right? So that's tip number 2. There's 3 M's. And tip number 3 is really about moving to the center. You know, love at your center, your heart, trust at your center, right? So love and trust are there. And what's on the outside is what? Fear. Like, if you're in fear, you are not in love and trust.
Right.
So love, trust, inner knowing, that intuitive vibe that you get from being centered in who you are. That's like a journey to who you are. And it's almost like you take so much pride in what this is. Instead of taking yourself for granted, you elevate all of what it is, so that it's almost like you're cherishing life because you're honoring yourself.
Oh, okay. That makes sense to me.
So instead of putting this something on the pedestal, you put yourself there. I matter. You know what I mean? I matter. And when I'm an I and in love and I'm centered and I'm trusting, there's a certain me that steps forward. And the more I get scattered, nervous, worried, right? Those energies don't help you stay centered. And it's really just recognizing that, and no, what do I typically feel like when I'm together? When I am me, this is me in love and trust.
Right.
All right. So this is where you vibe to. This is where you come back to.
Okay. So is that all our tips?
Those are your tips. Yeah.
So if I wake up in a funk, or if all of a sudden during the day I'm in a funk, am I describing this right?
Yeah.
And then I walk through these 3 steps. Okay. So the first one was?
Well, they're not necessarily steps, but they're tools.
Yes. Tools. Okay, good. Because I'm one of those do it in this order type people. Doesn't have to be, right? Okay, because the music, the meditation, and the movement are things I probably resist when I'm in the funk. So that should be one of my first tools.
The first thing you do when and if you wake up or you feel like you're in a funk during the day, your energy, you're down. Basically, someone turned off the switch. Right. You're down. You're feeling something that's heavy. You're not distinguishing out from in. You're just not yourself. You're not.
Right. Yes.
So my biggest thing would be step away from what you're doing. And whether it is that you need, you have to acknowledge what's actually emotionally happening.
Yes.
Whether you're tired from your day, you just need a break, you're frustrated, whatever it is, if you allow yourself to kind of just sit and just kind of be and come back to your heart.
Right.
Even if it means you have to cry, you have to release. So this is the thing. We do absorb what's around us. And if we have been, I almost consider like food. What have you been feeding yourself all day? Like one frustrating thing after another frustrating thing, you are going to go down. So it is normal for us to have ups and downs during the day. It is normal for us not to like to that. It doesn't work with me to have to deal with this self-care. This doesn't feel good. This is taking too much time. That is
to do.
That's a very inconsiderate robot-like approach to life. You are not a robot. You are a human being with emotions, feelings, thoughts, physicality. All of this comes together, and here we go. If on some level, you need to rest, you're processing something traumatic, or you're processing the energies around you are heavy and hard. That's why that whole self-care piece for an empath is huge, because a lot of times we are the ones that add the beautiful light to any space. And when we don't take awareness and we're not cognizant about it, we're just like, okay, I'll give you light. I'll give you light. I'll give you some light. Before you know it, you have none left.
Right.
So and your light is for you, and you generate it, you use it, you share it, but you're not to go down and out. Like sleep, rest, all of those things are normal. But if you get up the next day and do the same thing over and over and over again, you're not going to be in a good place. So I tell people, this is not how hard can I whip this whip and go? Like, you're not a work. You're a human who has needs, whether it's quiet relaxation, joy, excitement, goals. Those are all part of the mix of what you can get. But oftentimes what I see is people are so hard on themselves.
Yeah.
So hard. I mean, I'm no exception, but I'm looking at it going, wow, how could I be so hard on myself? Is that really love or loving, or is that other sorted flavor of something that I picked up along the way? Like, what benefit do I get from behaving this way? From, ignoring, avoiding, denying. Like, if you're not happy, you can't deny it long term. You need to look at what something really is and then move yourself forward in a the human psyche, who knows why we react this way, but we avoid anything that we think is negative, anything that's heavy. And guess what? In our late 30s, 40s, 50s, those things have been hidden away.
Mm-hmm. True that.
They're going to surface back up because they were never released, and
Yeah.
they cause damage, so they need to be released. I actually do an online retreat type event. I'm doing one on October 18th called Expansion to Joy. That's the name of it. And the purpose is truly that. It's to be and allow yourself to go deeper, allow yourself to release, learn what some of this is. So you're really on a day-to-day basis filled with tools and inspiration and uplift, all on your own.
Well,
So
and that's what we need to be able to navigate this, but in a way that we honor what's happening inside of us and allow healing and joy to flood us. Now, Michelle, I know that you do have this event coming up, but you also have a group where you're talking about these issues and ways to work through some of these things, but ways to become who we are meant to be completely. And so if you would, when we're done here, would you jump into the comment stream and drop your group name and maybe that event, so that people will know how to connect with you? And because there will be people that are going to immediately say, oh, this is what I've been looking for.
yeah. I'm glad. I mean, I firmly believe that our natural state is joy. Mm-hmm. And then it's what we've learned in the world of how we cope and how we interact and where we give away our power on a day-to-day basis, and what good we can do for ourselves first and then for others when we change and we transform from the inside out. Wow. Anything can happen because it's like contagious, just the same way as negativity and heaviness is contagious. The good stuff, like, make a priority for the good stuff, and that is contagious in and of itself. So that's what I hope to share with the world.
Well, and I think you're doing a great job of that. Michelle and I met online a few weeks ago. She it was a women's group that we're both in, and she was offering a numerology.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that? What you did for me?
It was I did a numerology reading for you.
A reading, yes.
It's a numerology reading, and a friend of mine, she learned it a long time ago from her grandmother. So it's like a grid system, but basically it tells you on a physical, emotional, and mental level, what did you come here to learn? What are the key things? What are your strengths? What are things that might be challenging for you to deal with? And how do you, once you know where you kind of are, then you kind of, oh yeah, I do have a sensitivity. This is what that looks like. Oh yeah, I have a hard time step by step moving into a step by step manifesting thing. All right, I'll focus on that. There's one because everyone's different, but there's one grid that I do where someone could have a total frustration arrow, and they're like, holy shit, yeah, I live that day to day. I'm frustrated. I'm like because you're missing these numbers,
right?
Yeah, and if you can step into what this is and what that is on purpose, your life will go smoother. So right. It's just, it humbles me I did like, it's not what I do for my work. I do it to get,
It's for fun.
I get like a vibe of what that person's dealing with. And then I will do private sessions, or I have a program that I move people through. And it just always astonishes me, and it humbles me too, to see how hard some grids are. Like, you haven't learned how to be flexible in the middle. If you don't have your 5, you haven't learned how to go with the flow and how to move with change. I'm like, okay, so there's something to that. I get it. Yeah. So it's like the maturity of you as a soul and what you came here to learn is all within. So you get a life path number. Like, I'm a 34. I don't remember what you were.
But I don't remember either.
Yeah, I'm a 34/7. So 3 and 4 is 7. So you add all my birthdays, I get to 34. All my dates on my birthday, get to 34 and a 7. So of course, what am I challenged with? 3 is communication and sensitivity. And 4, so mind you, on my chart, I have a 3 already. So I am challenged, but not that bad, right? 4, I do not have a 4 on my chart. I do not have a 4 anywhere, and I'm working on 4. So step by step, 4 is very much physical manifesting, step by step. No. I like to skip all the steps, and I can see everything I want to create. Forget the steps, right? I'm like, no, Michelle, back up. Like,
yeah, I want to do the steps.
I'm like, why do I have to do the steps? It's going to take so long. I'm like, just go over here and do that. But that's not how the universe works. Things here, manifesting takes time. And then again, if you put your intention to something, you can manifest, and the timing is right, you can manifest it immediately as long as it's working. It's just, I love this whole arena because it's fun. It's fun to look at your life like, it's a novel. What's in the novel? And now
the story. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that was fascinating to me, and I think we were meant to run into one another. When people make offers like you made, hundreds of women responded.
Yes, they did.
Literally, that's all you would have gotten done for a year from all the people that responded. But you picked a few of us, and I'm one of those people. Probably my numbers show this, but I always expect someone to pick me. I expect to be picked. And so I like it. So it was fun, and I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If some of this has just triggered something in your heart or in your soul as we've been talking, or as you've been listening, drop a comment and let us know. We'll be watching, and we'll, connect with you and talk to you. But you can definitely connect with Michelle on either her page, her group, or her event. She also has a website. So she will give you all that information in the comments. Is there any closing comments you want to wrap this up with a bow, Michelle?
Your purpose, our purpose, regardless of good, bad, or whatever, at the end of the day, it's to love your life. And it starts by loving yourself. What does a loving person do when they're loving on themselves? So you ask yourself that question, and you will get an answer every single time.
I love that. And the truth of the matter is happiness comes from loving yourself. So if you can get to
job, it's an inside job the whole way around.
Yeah, get to that place. And when you get to that place, you will love your life.
Well, and the outside, believe it or not, it's a manifestation of what's on the inside. Yes. And if you think that, you're less than, or you can't, you can get stuck on a lot of different things can get you stuck. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's all about feeling. You
Yeah.
could have $1 million and supposedly look all successful in the world. But if you don't feel that, you have nothing. So, again, it's all about you.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, thank you for joining me today. This has been fun, and I knew it was going to be. Anytime something is kind of like I'm not real sure about it, and I have an opportunity to learn, I just enjoy those conversations so much because I'm 63. I turned 63 last week, and I still am learning things every day, every month, every year. And I love being a learner. So I felt like I grew as a person from our time together today.
Wonderful.
Thank you for coming. Next week on Your Best Year Ever, my guest will be Michelle Katz. She is a health and fitness coach, and she's going to be talking about being your best physically. So that's a different direction than what Michelle and I have talked about today, but Michelle and I are going to talk about that next week. Different Michelle. I've got a lot of Michelles in my life. Thank you guys for being part of this. Drop us a comment. Let us know which of those tips you're going to put into action right away and which one you think can help you be happier with yourself. We're out of here for now, but thanks for joining us. Ciao for now.
Bye. Bye, everyone.